So I'm going to do my best in this 20 minutes to give you a bit of an overshot of my perception on gender equality within health facilities management. So for those that don't know, HFM is Health Estates and Facilities Management Association. It's made up of 7 branches across England, and each branch has NHS healthcare organisations associated to it. And I chair the national association, which is all those 7 branches into one. So as a trust, if you belong to an NHS trust, you are likely to be a member of HFM, and therefore some of the offers I make at the end of this presentation are very, very relevant to each and every one of you in the room. So, the agenda for me today is really to take you through what you see here on this slide. Each component for me is intrinsically linked to the others, but it's my intention through my own personal journey to take you through my pathway in relation to gender equality within the field of soft FM, within which I am going to ask you to think about what your take-home message is. This is the start of this conference, and what do you actually want to gain and what do you want to leave here thinking and doing differently? So I'm going to start with soft FM. Within healthcare, we often hear of the A, B, C and D, yet we don't often hear about the E and F. And I wonder why, and I often question why that is. And it shouldn't be our job really to fight our corner or justify our existence. But we often find that we do. And in the world of soft FM, we're in a vast, rapidly growing, evolving field, no more so than over the last 2 years with COVID. But we've seen massive growth and we are still emerging. So why do we justify that existence? We have professionals from various sectors and generations and boast a range of skills and competencies that represent the extent of all working professionals. We are a formidable force when you think about what we do, and I genuinely believe that services, whether these be catering, portering, domestic, laundry, security, logistics, etc., are the backbone of the NHS and healthcare and at the heart of patient care. As such, as service leaders in this room, we should re-inform and build the translation of care through our services to lead the future with the workforce of that future. But generally and historically, estates and facilities within the NHS and healthcare is perceived as a male-dominated environment from a primary hard FM bias, so an estates bias. This should not be the case from my view, however, as working in management in FM is not about the hard skills, it's more about the leadership qualities and skills which are non-gender specific. But when we break down our professional groups, what we do see is 77% of the estates and facilities workforce is actually within soft FM services, which dispels this idea of a hard FM bias. However, data also shows that women in leadership roles are in seemingly short supply, with only 20% of female leaders across the patch. For me, this isn't a drill. If only 1 in 5 are female leaders, we must question what we need to do to be more gender inclusive and keep our professions sustainable. So on that note, I'm going to take you through a bit of a whistle-stop of a personal journey. It's not all my journey, but it's just snippets of it there. As a female leader within the NHS, where I've come from and to now. By taking you through this journey, I make no generalisation by my comments. They are personal experiences, and I don't wish to cause any offence by any of the comments that I make, because they are personal and they are perceptions and they are real to me. But some may translate to you, some may not. But it should give you an appreciation of my journey towards gender equality. First and foremost, I'm female, I'm a woman, I'm a mother of humans and 4-legged friends. Probably the pictures tell you I like my 4-legged friends better. I'm a daughter, granddaughter, wife, carer, sister, sister-in-law, auntie, niece, best friend, godmother, to name but a few. On a professional stance, I'm a pot washer and caterer by background, I'm proud to say so. I'm a director of HFM and of estates and facilities in the trust. I'm the chair of HFM, a leader, manager, graduate, mentor and guide. But fundamentally, I'm just me. I live, laugh, cry, love and am loved. I believe, trust, invest. I'm compassionate. I believe in values. And I constantly learn from others and well-driven. I do rise, but I also fall. I make mistakes because I'm human, but I am alive and therefore I can make a difference. I started my career in the NHS in 1996 as an assistant hotel services manager. Today's equivalent probably in Agenda for Change Band 3. After studying hotel and catering management at university, the NHS wasn't really on my radar at first when I started university, as I wanted to own my own pub, and I wanted to go into the brewery industry. And I did a placement in a pub during university to endeavour that career path. However, I suffered an injury during that placement and prolapsed 2 discs, which put me wheelchair bound for 12 weeks and on crutches for a further 12. During this time, the only contact I had from my manager was for him to ring me up and tell me that I'd been paid incorrectly, that I'd received my full wage rather than statutory sick pay. To be honest, there wasn't much difference at the time, but this treatment and memory has stayed with me and taught me very early on about the kind of leader I want to be if I had the opportunity. But more importantly, the kind of leader I didn't want to be. It's often said that although we all work for organisations, people don't leave organisations. They leave people and they leave leaders and teams that they work with. So I knew an investment in individuals I would work with is key to any success, and I believe how you treat people and how you act is vital in sustaining good teams, and good leadership will attract workforce and retain staff. Do you agree? Some people are nodding in the room, some people not, but I ask yourself to think about this. Do you strive to be the best in your team, or do you strive to be the best for your team? If you just think about that for a minute, there is a difference, and it will determine the type of leader you are or the type of leader you are about to be. Anyway, pushing no longer this career of a pub trade, I looked for other options, applied for the Assistant Hotel Services Manager at a medium secure unit in Rotherham and was successful. Quite a naive leader at the time, very new to the industry, but the hospital services were male-dominated and very clinically biased. And soft FM services were seen, but they were on the periphery as a support function that was needed, not necessarily at the heart of what we do. So I set about changing that view from a very early onset, but I couldn't do that alone. No one can. So it relies on the people that you work with and the individuals in service. So we enhanced those skills. We looked for the best in people and created a collective, formidable team which provided a quality service to patients and staff. I had the privilege of leading this team, but I never underestimated the value everyone could bring. If one person didn't know the answer, somebody in the team did. So together, we could achieve almost anything. My career didn't stay static. I did see some opportunities in lack of knowledge and gaps in the service for non-clinical provisions. So I put together a bit of a business plan and asked the general manager to take me on to take the administration team data protection, training and induction packages. I offered to do this for 6 months without pay, and if it was successful at the end of the 6 months to be regraded. And if it wasn't, I went back to my hotel services role. Nothing lost, everything to gain. I created this opportunity as a no-risk factor for the general manager, and he had nothing to lose, nor did I. And luckily, it was a success. For me, it's all about opportunities, finding them, taking them, and pushing myself out of my comfort zone to try new things. So I ask yourself, do you find those opportunities and take them? Do you push yourself out of your comfort zone? Because it is your choice, and my choice at the time was to control some of that agenda. My career continued to extend beyond this, and I took on health and safety sort of remit for the trust, to eventually moving from medium secure to the forensic division for the trust. And that took me beyond soft FM in a greater leadership role into the world of estates and facilities management. So taking on estates was an eye-opener from the start, and one where I felt a range of emotions. Me, a caterer, a non-technical specialist or engineer, could I really do this with an instant feeling of that imposter syndrome? Does anybody feel that? I'm sure I'm not the only one. This inadequacy running over me. The feeling of I don't know what I'm doing, it's only a matter of time till somebody finds out. I had to quickly change my mindset in respect of that and reframe it to I don't know what I'm doing, it's only a matter of time till I figure it out. But also keeping reserved that nervousness and that outward sort of lack of confidence that I didn't want to expose. As I quickly found out, the highest form of self-confidence is believing in the ability to learn. So engaging the team, understanding their roles, not pretending to be the expert, and respecting others as those experts in the field helped me overcome some of the barriers I was facing. I have encountered some negative engagement with people across my leadership career. Some have been from male colleagues, but not all, across the estates and facilities and wider. So that being talked over, omitted from communication, not being consulted, opinion not worthy, those type of comments. And why I believe is because of gender and also professional bias. But I equally have met some people who are wonderful, who are inclusive, respectful, team players, engaging and open. So I take the good with the bad, and I worry about the issues I can control and not the ones that I can't. I do remember one of the first estates meetings I ever attended, and I walked into this boardroom and there was a sea of estates professionals, these technical specialists. And the comment that was made as I walked through the door was, "Oh great, the minute taker's here." So there's me holding my nerves together, first ever meeting in this estates forum, walked into a room of skilled professionals being judged based on my gender alone and the fact that the chair thought administrative roles were for females in the NHS. This was in the 90s and today would seem like something that could never happen, but still exists, and my experience highlights the extent to which the skills of experienced, capable women are systematically undervalued and underutilised in businesses at certain points in time, not at all times. What it did do at the time was made me feel inadequate. It made me almost apologetic for being there, and as I quickly explained, I was representing the trust and reaffirmed my experience to justify my existence of why I was there. However, it also built my emotional resilience and created me to behave differently and more assertive in these environments to get the respect from my male counterparts. And I am quite stubborn. Those who know me in the room know that. And I did have a point to prove at this point. But why should I and did I have to flex my own natural style to fit in with the boys? Why did I have to go over and above to prove my worth? I obviously felt it was necessary at the time, but on reflection now, I do question this imbalance. My career progressed to eventually reaching director level and this year being appointed chair of HFM. And the world is changing in the estates and facilities arena. I'm the first female chair in 35 years of the association. And this year, Alison Ryan was elected first female president of IHEM in the Institute of Healthcare Engineering in 79 years of that organisation existing. Yet whilst this is excellent progress, it's strange that in 2022 we're still announcing the first for women. Not negating this, however, the way I see it is there are balances needed. It shouldn't be about gender for me. It should be about the skills and roles we have, and we need to do more to encourage that skill mix and inspire others to see the opportunities out there regardless and despite of gender. For me, fairness isn't about everyone getting the same thing all of the time, but about everybody having the same opportunities available to them to make them successful. The challenge is with you and your desire and your intent to make those opportunities a reality, using my children as examples here, both having the same opportunities regardless of their gender. That said, representation matters. We do set the example. We promote the difference and we make the changes. So be that leader that inspires, make those changes and create those opportunities, whether those opportunities taken is down to individuals. But we are all unique regardless of gender, and if we take those opportunities, the rewards will come. As I reflect, there's no doubt great progress that is being made to address gender equality in the sporting arena with the hockey team and the Women's England team. It's taken years, but women leaders are now commonplace, and conversation is open and transparent, where everyone has a voice and a part to play there. And we actively talk about gender equality in leadership. I'm not afraid to speak the same breath anymore. The mould is changing, but it still needs to be accelerated and make gains for women in leadership. So, gender equality is Goal 5 of the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda and highlights that enhancing gender equality is urgent whilst putting forward gendered pathways approach. There is a particular focus on the recruitment of females into higher senior positions, and as such, mentoring relationships have been recognised as one of the suitable approaches for overcoming gender-related barriers and female progression from early career women into their mid-career to help break that glass ceiling. Women must act as their own advocates by seeking out network sponsors and mentors. But it's not unique to women, but I'm emphasising the point of female leadership here. So to encourage women into leadership positions in the FM industry and enable mentoring network relationships with FM need to be embedded and equally look for role models outside of the industry. If we break down the statistics, and these are provided by NHS England, the data shows that gender split over the years within estates and facilities is slightly greater percentage of females in our sector than there are males. And we've got one of the best gender workforce splits. However, as said previously, the glass ceiling diminishes over banding and only 1 in 5 females are in senior positions. Senior positions are more likely to be held by men than women, making up 59% of the workforce at band 2 to band 5 of women, and 27% of positions at band 6, and and 7 and 21% of senior leadership positions. In comparison to other NHS staff groups, the percentage of females within estates and facilities is considerably lower, and over 60% lower in Band 6 onwards. Therefore, to ensure we make the profession more diverse, and one key objective within NHSE's workforce plan is to increase the percentage of women across the estates and facilities and management and senior positions by addressing pay gap, flexible working, pregnancy, maternity, menopause policies, to name a few, but these issues will be embedded in the forthcoming EDI strategy 23-28, so one to look out for. As a female, I'm obviously an advocate for enhancing female leadership in our profession, but I'm also an advocate for promoting any leadership within our profession. And although there is that specific focus on enhancing female leaders, it's not the only factor that I wanted to consider. Times are changing, and essential criteria for senior positions in facilities management is now changing, and we no longer live in a world where directors of estates and facilities must be a chartered engineer. Still some requirement, but it's not that it's an essential factor. It is changing. This is and has been a barrier to progression for soft FM leaders. However, many NHS organisations are now beginning to see the value of leadership qualities and professional technical bias, and have adapted job descriptions to reflect this change. So don't be put off. Don't be fearful of applying for such positions. And the latter perspective I wanted to touch on that basis is authentic leadership. An element for me, authentic leadership, is gender neutral. So when considering a pathway to gender equality, it's about treating people as individuals and inspiring them to be the best version of the person they can be, despite their gender. Treating others the way you want them to treat patients. They often say, treat others as you want to be treated yourself. But if you twist that, say, treat people as you want them to treat patients, it does give you a different context. To quote my last chief executive, he had a mantra of, what does it feel like to be on the receiving end of me? And I use this all the time, and I'm not ashamed to say and tell him that I use it all the time. But if you think about this for just a second, it's quite impactful and amplifies the principle of authentic leadership for me. How you treat others, how you make people feel, that lasting impression or impact you have, demonstrates the leader you are or can be. So it's about planting the trees that you will never see. As in a moment, you can change someone's perception, you can change their view, you can empower them, and you can inspire because of you. So to remain authentic, however, it's important to think about your thinking. Your thinking becomes your behaviour becomes your actions. And as adults, we tend to complicate things and often question, and always question, everything that we do. So we can't see what's in front of us because we're overthinking it. So just think about time you spend angry, fearful, scared. That time for me really doesn't matter. If you talk it through, if you face it, if you deal with it at source, just think of the time you would save. Those of you that overthink, and this is generalistic, will prolong that agony, fearful stage. But an authentic leader will be open enough to speak out and allow others to have the confidence to talk things through without fear. So be that person, that authentic leader that inspires your team members to talk to you without fear. Be the person who is motivated and cares about what they do, full of passion, energy and drive. And if you're not, and that's not the reason why you get up in the morning and go to work, then you need to question if you're in the right role. As it's down to you to be challenged, but it's in your gift to change. You know, people will come into our lives as a blessing or a lesson, but both of them do have their purpose. So think about how you make someone feel valued. Focus on that, and our patients and staff will feel it. So just remember, the thoughts become your words become your actions. Your words become your actions become your behaviours, and your behaviours become your legacy. So I ask you to think about what legacy you want to leave and what you want to be remembered for. So, to round up, what are the key messages that you're taking home from today? Not just my presentation, onward presentations as well. What, if anything, are you going to do differently? Have I provoked something? Have I made you think differently? Have I upset anybody? Has it just gone past you? But will you look for the opportunities because of your gender or despite your gender? Will you Face your fears and do it anyway. Will you have that conversation you've been fearful to have? Will you be more conscious about how you impact others? And will you help promote gender equality across our workforce? And I challenge you to think about how you can be the best authentic leader you can be. I'm not going to make you do that alone, though, and I am going to offer you some resources and some assistance of help. And NHS England have also offered this through my colleague Caroline Lowe. So I'm going to leave you with a few offers of help from HFM. So we have a career route map. This is a map that you go on to it. If you're a porter and you want to aspire to be the Director of Estates and Facilities, it gives you a career of exactly what you need to do from start to finish, and what education you'll need, what associations you should be involved in, etc. You are going to get these slides, so the hyperlinks will work, and then you'll be able to use them. So the career route map's there. This is something we've done in conjunction with IHEAM. We also have a coaching and mentoring database, so if anybody is interested in receiving a coach or mentor, then we can assist with that. We have a strategy in place with 4 key work streams, and if any of those tip something in you that you want to be involved, please get in touch. We've got work streams there, and I can put you in touch with the work stream leads. We have our website and Pulse magazine. People may see these things, people may read them, people may not. But I would encourage you to do so. But more importantly, if you've got any articles that you wish to be published, anything you want to celebrate, please get in touch and I can make that happen. And finally, we have a Mind, Health and Wellbeing tool. This is something HFM have invested in. And it's a psychological assessment for teams of around 25 to 50, where you get an individual personalised assessment of your teams alongside trained psychologists. And it's something we've paid for up front, and we're just looking for people to be engaged in that and go through that process. We don't get to see the results. We'll get a generic sort of feedback from that. NHSE are also making some offers to you, so I'd encourage you to have a look at the workforce plan, and that's developing, and the impact and practical implementation of that is there. And within that, we've got the Apprenticeship Challenge that's also there about recruiting our workforce of the future. There's the Collaboration Hub, link onto that, register with your email and get involved in that. It's a good area of debate and Q&A, and good to actually question some of the thoughts that you might have with other senior leaders within the organisations. There's the NHS Workforce Forum, and these happen periodically throughout the year, and you can get involved. It's through a webinar Microsoft Teams basis. And there's a specific Edward Jenner programme, which I'm going to promote. I don't know if people are aware of it. Edward Jenner's been around for a long time, but very clinically biased and a bit of a mixed bag. This is specifically for estates and facilities staff, so you'd be in a cohort of estates and facilities professionals. And they're just trialling that through, but if you're interested, click on the link for more details of that. And very lastly, I just wanted to give you the HFM contact details. My details there, my email address. Feel free to email me. I'm quite responsive. I am quite good, but bear with me because HFM is a voluntary job that I do. It's not my day job. So you just have to bear with me there. But I would welcome any sort of feedback and any contributions that we can moving forward. And that leaves me to finish, and thank you very much for your time.